recording. So welcome to day 4 of the creating a wealthy mindset, life, all that good stuff. We are going to be focused on the inner journey, prosperity today, and tomorrow is going to bring everything together. So what we've been talking about, and we're going to do some exercises where if your head is sort of spinning and there's lots of things going on in like, oh, how can I use this? Or where's the best place to start? Hopefully today I'm going to focus on that inner aspect of like what you want to be paying more attention to. And then tomorrow is the outer planning and like what to be thinking about next. So let's see, because of yesterday's topic, I'm stopped giving my work away for free. Yay! That's awesome. Congratulations, Raven. That is such a big milestone. Many years ago, I took a class called something about like work for free or something. And I was like, this is going to be really interesting. But was this with a gal who was making many millions of dollars. And she was talking about sort of how to position free and then also how to make a lot of money. So we can still do free. I mean, free is awesome. I am totally enjoying this class this week. And I love giving because I think that that's a great way to establish trust, right? And have folks know what you're all about and that stuff. But there's this moment in time where it's like, okay, we really need to be careful about that. So congratulations, that's awesome. And I will go ahead and share my screen and we will dive in. So bear with me. Okay, not that one. Starting all over. Okay. I went on a walk this morning again, and I came up with all kinds of things and ran back here and made changes. So that's how I roll. It flows out of me and it's like, this is what they're wanting and needing and what's going to help them the most. And so I made some changes like 5 minutes ago. So what most people don't know about prosperity, and I'm fixing my screen, and there we go. Okay, so creating a new wealth paradigm. And like I said, day 4, and today we're covering the prosperity. The first day we talked about joy with money and this idea of the joy being completely separate from the money, and the realizations that we have in our consciousness allow us to have that joy. And then we're supporting it, we're playing with it through our experiences with money, through our businesses, through our careers, all that good stuff. Tuesday was about the limiting beliefs. Wednesday was about entrepreneurship. And then today is a deep dive into prosperity. And do use the chat. I'm opening that up so I can pay attention to it. Good morning. Good morning. And so today's key objective is super simple. It's about peace, clarity, and self-understanding, and probably a whole bunch of other things, but that's what we're focused on today. And I think it's kind of fun because we've been dancing around some of this, but we're just going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to do a meditation that echoes this. And so I wanted to talk about what you truly value, because I think that as we step into understanding what we truly, truly value, that is the moment when we are able to actually create the prosperity that I think all of us are wanting, more and more of. And so I define prosperity and the mindful millionaire with a lot of different ideas and concepts, it's not my job to tell you what prosperity is for you, but what I wanted to do was create a container that gave you a sense of like, the fact that this is in the middle, this is really the middle path. This isn't the extremes. This is actually noticing the extremes. And when we go deeper and deeper into the chakra work, and Vicky and I created a great series of videos, and I think she's on the last one, but you can go through and Vicky, maybe you could post your chakra series on the notes because I think it's a great follow-up to these conversations, where we went into not just the chakras and money, but what's the excessive and recessive states for each of those chakras. And it's very, very healing to understand those, like, because as you soak in what those extremes are, you start to see the patterns that are coming through in your life, with your money, with your business, so on and so forth. And so when we come into this place of like, what do you truly, truly value? We understand ourselves better. And we also see, in some cases, what is kind of like a void, like we look towards it and we don't really have an answer. And so that's actually really, really telling, because when there are holes in our understanding of what we truly value, it's more often than not some kind of block that's keeping you from seeing that thing that you're really, really wanting. So there's some kind of wounded aspect going on inside the psyche that's preventing you from seeing it. This is why the chakras are so healing, because we focus in on an energy, we focus in on a aspect of our body, our energetic body, you know, maybe even our physical body, right? It touches all aspects. And when we tune into it, we start to see where there is really clear, strong patterns of understanding, and where there is weakness, right? We talked about this early in the week. Weakness is lack of understanding, or weakness is caused by lack of understanding. Weakness is caused by us pushing something away and thinking it's bad, labeling it, judging it. That's where weakness gets caused. You know, even something as simple as muscle testing, right? The reason we can use muscle testing, and it's so effective in the right situation with the right protocol, is because it indicates strength, truth, or weakness, untruth, you know, non-truth. And so what we're tuning into with the chakras is we're opening ourselves up to these portals of understanding where we are in truth, where we are strong, and also where are we weak. And so today, through the meditation and an exercise that we'll do together, we're going to test it to see what comes up, just very intuitively. So I'm going to open and help you open that intuitive portal through the meditation. And then we'll come out of that and we'll do this exercise. And you'll just need a piece of paper and a pen to do that. So we're looking at this question, what do you truly value? And so, as I mentioned before, you know, there's these scarcity lenses and these prosperity lenses. And as we dive into it, we're looking to see where is their strength on the right and where is their weakness. And again, not saying bad or good, really just saying, oh, there it is. This is something for me to understand. This is something for me to dive into even deeper, and trust that I wouldn't be noticing the weakness if it wasn't something that was ready to be healed and integrated back into the whole. So as we just soak into this, and even we open ourselves up to what's going on here on the page in front of us, we're already allowing ourselves to just intuitively notice what's calling to you, what's speaking to you, what are you curious about, what are you wanting to know more about, like what does that mean, and how does this relate to what I truly, truly value? So let's take power, for example. The reason that many of us struggle with the power chakra is we have not become familiar with what it means to be a truly powerful being in this life. We haven't explored that. And so the weakness comes in our resistance to integrating who we really are, very powerful, into this whole, you know, like we're sort of allowing ourselves to be outside of the power bubble by not leaning into it, asking questions. Why am I so concerned about power? Why does it feel more like force to me? Why do I, you know, when I start feeling like I'm on top of the world and powerful, why do I self-sabotage and find myself doing this crazy stuff that actually diminishes my power? Saying something stupid, you know, doing something that people are like, well, you were really on a roll. And then all of a sudden you kind of broke that energy cycle that you were holding. So we lean into this experience of, am I powerful or am I kind of powerless, when I'm really honest with myself? You know, and this is back to that word that I've used a few times this week. Like, there's this victim energy, you know, and powerlessness. And when we stop resisting that and we say, oh, yes, that too is something that I'm still working through. And that's okay, because I'm in the right place and we're having the right conversations here. And we're holding space for like it to be okay for me to be struggling with this and not understanding why it's such a block for me. Okay, so we're just being really honest about all of these aspects. And you know, I'm going to use a scale to help you kind of get even more in tune, but this is what's going on here. You know, this is what I'm inviting you to open yourself up to. I shared this before, you know, this is the opposite. This would be like taking, there's so many stages along the path, and that, you know, that's why it's not just super easy to just say, here it is, you know, go run with it. It's like this slide sort of indicates not just what the prosperity belief is, but how is it looking in action in your life? Thriving, orienting, influencing, valuing, actualizing, integrating, and flowing. I've got to change that valuable. It's supposed to say, I don't have that perfect word yet. This is how everything I roll with. I put it there until something comes. So core elements of prosperity before we do the meditation. It occurs, prosperity that we're talking about here occurs when your core values align with your actions, right? So this is integrated. This is whole. What I'm thinking, what I'm feeling inside is aligning with what I'm doing in the world. What I'm feeling and what I'm thinking is aligning with what I'm doing. It happens when you know yourself and what's most important to you. And it's at the leading edge in the now moment. And what I mean by that is that it is going to change. It is going to evolve. One of the greatest compliments I think I saw yesterday in a note in the Mindful Millionaire that I just truly value, I can't remember who said it, but it was like, well, maybe Deanna said it. It's like, well, Leisa keeps evolving. And as a result of that, you know, I enjoy hanging out here. It's like, well, I think all of us, I think the natural state is actually to create businesses and to create a life, create relationships, partner relationships that allow you to continue to grow, not having to reach this plateau. I think that's the old way of thinking about things. I'm proving that you can continue to evolve and grow, and that the business can grow with you and evolve with you and still be successful. Still, you know, just like you'd want your partnership, your relationships to do the same. I mean, isn't that like, that to me is like an enlightened state of awareness. It occurs when you transform the conversations going on inside your head. You know, we all have work to do. There's always something more. Thank you, Dottie. You are helping me. For many, it requires a big shift in the existing paradigms that you've been living in. And I say this only because even a year ago, I have changed the paradigms that I was living in. There is no end to this. This isn't a judgmental statement. This is a realization that in the growth of the experience, there is always going to be these shifts in our paradigms. It's when your habits support the creation of what aligns with who you're becoming, right? So if you know that you want to continue to grow, making sure that your habits support you and your infrastructure and the people you surround yourself with are also allowing that to be. When we change how we feel about survival, with money being its proxy, it changes how we feel about life itself, right? This is the big message. I think this is what the Mindful Millionaire is about. This is what I'm teaching. Not saying that survival isn't important. It most certainly is. It is about how you can feel the fear, be present to it without resistance, allow it to open your awareness and your heart, and move forward from a place of love, wisdom, courage, and absolute unconditional acceptance. This is why it's in the middle. It's in the middle path, not any extremes, right? You're going to hear that over and over again. And this is where, I said early on, I studied all these different spiritual traditions. I've been with the best of the best, both living and deceased. I've studied so many spiritual teachings, and I could hear them teaching the middle path. But what I did not see great example of on a regular basis is what that looks like, the living, practical application of the middle path. And that is where the greatest joy all the time is found in my journey and the journey of the people that I've associated with. It's like looking at the extremes and then coming back into the center and being okay with the uncertainty. It's like you're certain in yourself, but you may not know exactly how it's going to show up in the external world, but you're so clear in how you're running your life, how your thoughts are going, how you're showing up in your relationships, that there is nothing but success in this path for you ultimately. And that you can be patient with how long it takes for it to materialize. Yeah, maybe that's why it's not very sexy. Yeah, it doesn't make for great TV. Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Okay, so what do you truly value? So this is where, I'm just going to invite you to think about this as we do a meditation, thinking about what do you truly value? One of the things that's really interesting is I think we've got things all messed up in our society. It doesn't mean I don't teach to that. Oops, I have a typo, but doesn't mean that I don't teach to where we are. But let's put it this way. Peace of mind, clarity, health in our bodies, those things are at the top of the pyramid. Yet money has been like if something is going to generate money, we have an easier time investing in that thing. But money isn't really the thing that's necessarily bringing these top level sort of self-actualization experiences. And those are priceless. Like no amount of money in the world could you necessarily exchange to get the things that we're trying here. It's priceless. And yet, funny enough, the ego mind says, okay, well, I'm going to invest a certain amount of money and get the money back. Like, I get it, but just notice that we do have things a little skewed in the society in the ways that we think about this. Because in reality, it is these feelings, these experiences, our awareness of our body, our awareness of the divine connection, of unconditional love, like those awarenesses are priceless. And here I'm inviting you to notice, what is most important to you? What do you truly, truly value? And we're already starting to go into this meditation. So I'm just going to invite you to get comfy, cozy, and tune in to your breath. And if you're in a place that's safe to do so, then just closing your eyes and going inward. One way you can envision this is as you breathe in and you breathe out, and you're relaxing your body. It can feel almost like you're falling back into your deepest parts of yourself, falling back into the real, true you. Feeling the presence of you in this moment. Feeling the love that you have for yourself. Moving into the deepest parts of your awareness and welcoming your awareness to this space. And bringing your attention down to the root chakra at the base of the spine. You may even do a little bit of a root lock just to get familiar with that area and bring your attention and awareness to it. And in that clenching, it might even remind us of this connection that the root chakra has with our ultimate survival instinct. And celebrating this awareness as we notice this red spinning disc of light. It's a source of strength, of grounding, of connection to the tribe. To the reptilian brain, to this ability to protect ourselves. Celebrating how it's helped us to arrive in this moment. And as you tune into your own survival patterns, just noticing if there's any messages here. Of what's going on for you around survival right now. Any fears, any experiences of weakness or strength. And welcoming that awareness. We're just inviting a conversation that can be continued later, but noticing what that is as we move up into the sacral chakra, the lower part of the belly near the sexual organs, the spinning disc of orange. The water element, you may even see or feel this experience of water and cleansing the sacral area. This area connected to creation, to this deep sense of creativity. And also noticing the feeling of this sense of worthiness, of being able to feel your feelings. And just noticing whatever messages and communication the sacral area has for you. Both in weakness and in strength. Protection, vulnerability. Moving up into the solar plexus. this yellow, beautiful, fiery, spinning disc of light, bringing your attention into this sense of power or powerlessness, of being influential in the world, in your life. Noticing how it feels, that area of your body. Maybe it's tight, maybe it's loose. Noticing what messages the solar plexus have for you about your own sense of power in the world. Moving up into the heart, this beautiful sense of green air moving in this swirling, sensational, it's like, I like to envision this like a room, a big green room. And as you visualize this room of green light swirling, you can just notice what's in this heart space where we hold things like love, conditional love or unconditional love, feeling appreciated or lack thereof, a sense of resentment sometimes can show up here, as well as forgiveness. So much going on in the heart. And just notice this sense of love, like unconditional love, because I think that's what we can hold on to here. And the valuable nature of unconditional love. And then what the heart is wanting to tell you in this moment. What messages does it have for you? Moving up into the throat. The sky blue at the base of the throat, swirling, stimulating the sense of trust, significance, speaking your truth, asking questions, receiving answers. Noticing what this experience of focusing on the throat chakra brings up for you. What is the throat wanting to show you, to speak to you, whisper to you about your own sense of trust, trusting yourself, trusting others, trusting the world around you? Moving up into the brow chakra, the center of the forehead, connecting into the pineal gland. Just noticing this experience where it all comes together, this intuition, this wisdom, this indigo color of light swirling, integrating all parts of you together. And when you experience this sense of I am enough, you can invite yourself to notice if there's areas that are left out of that. This is enough, but not that. Just noticing weakness and strength. Moving up into the crown chakra, this connection with the divine. It's like white, bright light with purple or lavender specks of glitter, connecting us with all that is beyond, in whatever way you describe that. opening up to this divine connection where the human experience meets the divine connection and all the guidance that can come through when we're open, surrendering, accepting, allowing ourselves to integrate back into the wholeness of who we really are. And as you tune into this sense of wholeness, of absolute prosperity, unconditional prosperity, what messages are there for you? And as we tune into this energy, I just wanted you to notice that we can create an infinity symbol with the energy. And we're just going to run the energy, kind of blending it together for a moment. So perhaps at the crown, it's moving forward and down through the throat, and then crossing over at the heart, coming to the backside, moving down the lower back, up to through the root, back up through the sacral solar plexus, and crossing again at the heart. So we're just creating this beautiful flow of energy, moving in the infinity symbol, just running the energy through our energy being, feeling all parts of you in this moment, alive, present, here, now, circulating, expanding, moving, creating a powerful momentum in the understanding of who you really are as an energy being. Maybe as you breathe in, the air goes up. As you breathe out, the air goes down. Just running that energy a few more times. And then bringing your attention to the heart, maybe placing both hands at the level of the heart. And just really celebrating you in this moment. Just how beautiful and magnificent you really are. Breathing that into every pore, every cell, every part of you. Namaste. Thank you. Okay, so what I want you to do is we are going to do an exercise. So this is where I want you to get out the piece of paper and pen, right? And what I invite you to do is I want you, while this is fresh, I want you to spend a few moments tuning in to all these parts of you. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to notice in the messages, and there may be more that you write. It's why we don't have a worksheet. You get to write as much as you want, or at least start it, and then you can come back to it as your journaling exercise tonight. But I want you to take a moment. I'm going to walk you through each of these. I'd like you to do sort of your own kind of muscle testing, intuitive testing, whatever you want. And this is an art, but I really, really trust this, okay? So I'm going to give you the scale for each one, and whatever the number is that comes up for each of these, I just want you to write it down. And then if you want to write some other notes, then fine, but that's what I need you to do, okay? So just follow my directions. So as we tune into the root chakra, right, you might give it a little squeeze. I want you to know that 0 would be weakest. 10 would be, in this case, strongest. So we're not going to create some really complicated scale. We're going to say weakest, strongest. I feel weak in this area as a 0. I feel strong in this area as a 10. What's the number that comes up for you when we tune into the root chakra? And I just want you to write that number down. Okay. First number that comes to mind. Don't overthink it. Just trust the intuition. Okay. Everybody got one? Okay. Next, we're going to go into the sacral, right? So this spinning orange disc of energy, creativity at this deep level, right? Creation comes from that space. But I tune it into worthiness, to feel the feels. Like that I'm worthy of whatever wants to be felt inside, that's a great other indicator of what's going down there in the sacral. So 0, weak, 10, strong. What's the number that comes up for you when you tune into the sacral? And this sense of like, I am worthy. I feel worthless would be 0, worthy, 10, whatever number comes. Okay, so I'm going to give you that scarcity and prosperity scale because I think that's going to keep it simple for all of us. Okay, first number. So I'm going to assume you got that one. Okay, next, moving into the solar plexus. This is a loaded one for a lot of people here. We're stepping into our power in all kinds of ways. So 0 is I feel powerless. 10 is I am powerful. What's the first number that comes to your intuitive awareness? Write that down. Beautiful. Tuning into the heart, this sense of unconditional love. I'm holding myself with unconditional love. I'm holding others with unconditional love, no matter what. That's a 10. Okay. 0 is I don't feel loved, or I don't feel love towards all living beings, like whatever, however, so I don't feel appreciated. That would be the 0. So just see what number comes in that space of 0 to 10. Beautiful. Next, we'll go to the throat. Spinning disc of sky blue light at the throat level, this sense of trust. I trust myself. I trust others. I feel my own significance in the world. There's all these stages. So that would be a 10. I'm not trusting of myself. I'm not trusting of the world. 0. And just see what number comes on that spectrum. Intuitive hit. Going up to the brow, here's this place of wisdom and intuition integrating together. Tuning into this sense of like, I am enough, or lack thereof. 0, I'm not enough. 10, I am enough. See what intuitive number comes there. And then going into the crown, 0 to 10. I am whole, I am complete, I am prosperous. 10. I am not prosperous, I am not whole, I am not complete. 0. What number comes in that scale? Put that down. Now, just taking a moment, I invite you to just look at what you've written, and maybe, now there may be a sense, because we did it 7 different times, there may be a little bit of adjusting that goes on. Don't take away your first number, but off to the side, you may say, yeah, there was a standard that got created and I want to make a few adjustments now that I see this scale, and do that off to the right. So you've got 2 lines of numbers. And then take a moment to just write any notes down of things that you captured, that you saw, that feel like are really important for you to capture inside of that, from the meditation, from asking the question. Beautiful. So now notice the one that was weakest. Maybe put a check mark or something by that one. Notice the one or ones that were strongest. Maybe put a star or something by that one. And notice whatever else you want to soak in from this exercise. And just see if there's like one thing that maybe surprised you, causes you to think, oh yeah, there's some work here, or wow, I didn't realize how strong I was in this one, and just share that in the chat. So just share one realization so we can all be in this together. The virtual world is not ideal, but if we can imagine that we're all sitting around, how much fun we would have and kind of talking about this. That's what I want to encourage, is a little bit of chatting about, what did you just see? What's your weakest? What's your strongest? And was there some surprise in that? Please, please, please share. Yeah, thank you, Marnie. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sacral was weakest. Crown was 9. Yeah. Thank you. Sherry's note, strongest are the favorite colors. Yay. Yeah. And maybe too soon, but is there a place in your business or in your personal life that you can directly see, like, oh, this is connected to that. This is connected to me struggling. I know, Marnie, I think you said something about the throat chakra. Like, this is connected to why it's so hard for me maybe to engage in sales conversations, like, like make it really practical if that's helpful to you. Noticing and how healing that is. What do I have next? Yeah, I'm just going to go through this little example. Several years ago, I was approached. It was really funny. Sometimes, you just have to say that the universe is like, you're supposed to get this teaching, and it's going to be really powerful for both you and the other person. And I was on a site called Thumbtack, and a guy and I got paired up together, and he was running a $17 million company, very, very successful company in construction. And we had our first chat, and he was looking for a consultant. And I was like, I'm not really necessarily the person I would be, thinking that I can help a $17 million, business, but he's like, I have a really good feeling about this. Let's dive into your process. And we went through a very extensive inventory of questions with his business. And in the process of that, this is actually before this model even existed. I was just searching today or yesterday of like what example I wanted to share today. And when I look back, what was going on was, even though he had a net worth of about $10 million, was running a business of 17 million in annual revenue, there was still this integration that we're playing with in the brow chakra here that we're talking about. And he had a very successful business, but one of the things that was coming up is his personal relationships were suffering, mostly inside of the business. So that was creating all kinds of dysfunction. And he knew the business could grow as a result of his own growth. And but he also knew that the business would never be more evolved than its leader. And it's funny because I knew even at the time that we were doing some really magical work together, but I didn't have the kind of language that I do now for what was happening in just going through this inquiry process. But what I also know, and I've been having conversations many times with a lot of people lately about the fact that people who have worked with folks who have running large companies, have built $100 million companies. And, I've met with several of these people and developed really, intimate conversation, learning about what's going on inside. And there's no question in my mind that just because somebody has a lot of financial success, that they are following the principles that we're learning about here. And so I think he knew that there was this opportunity to evolve as a leader. And even though I hadn't run a business of that size, it was in the inquiry process that all kinds of things came out. And the breakthrough that I think was fascinating is that even someone who hadn't been in his shoes with the business could ask insightful questions that would cause him to go back and double his company. And I think it took him a couple more years after we first met. And we spent maybe 2 or 3 months going back and forth with a series of questions and having a fresh eyes from the perspective of the growth of what's going on inside of us, rather than it just being about the dollars and cents, awakened him to the things that he needed to do differently as a leader going forward in his business. And it was such a beautiful teaching, because the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking, am I going to be able to help this guy? And then in the end, it was so, so powerful. And it showed me the value of the inner work being way more important, especially when we're trying to get out of a paradigm, than necessarily even having done all that, operational work that goes along with building a business. And I think that's also just the reason that the chakra system is so incredibly powerful. But I discovered, he was losing interest in his company. He was burned out. There were holes in the company that he couldn't see. And it was only from this higher level of awareness that he could come out of it to go back in to see that the problem could actually be easily solved. And when we first started coming together, there was sort of this, I'm not sure anything's going to change. Also very interesting. He had just gone to a Tony Robbins retreat, like Date with Destiny, or maybe a business retreat. And he knew that there were still things that hadn't come through in that process, but it had awakened him to wanting to find a guide and mentor. So the result was the questions posed helped him see the holes in the business and how he was showing up in the world. And from there, the business was able to grow. And I think it's just so fascinating to me, because it's the inner realizations that I think are more important in the whenever we're trying to break through something. And then my goal is that after that, the execution of it becomes quite natural, easy, almost like effortless. It's like you do this and then you do that and then you do this, and then those things come into reality. But it's the creator and the state of the creator that matters so much, and the state of the creator being in this sense of prosperity. so that you can come out of the problems, look back in, see what they are, and then start to bring things into reality. And so today's lessons were using money as a tool to discover where you aren't living in prosperity is powerful work. Being mindful of where scarcity is holding you back, right? That's the practice that we're playing with today in our looking at the chakras. Where's the scarcity holding you back? The more aware you are about yourself, the more likely prosperity will expand and grow and evolve. And that there's always opportunities for growth. It comes down to whether or not you want them. And I don't think we ever want to lose sight of that, because there are going to be times where we're like, yeah, I don't want it. It's not that important to me. I don't value that. Remember, we were talking and Dottie said the unwillingness was really powerful. Like, at least own that. Like, own I'm unwilling to take advantage of the opportunities. Like, try that on for size. It's a very powerful practice. And on the flip side, if you say, well, I want those opportunities, then really, really decide why you want them. What are the, what conditions are you applying to it? Because some of those conditions may actually take it off the table, just saying. Like, I want lots of money, but I don't want to work hard for it. Okay, fine, then own that. Right? But I think many times we fool ourselves into creating these sort of nice, comfy, comfort zone places where there's all kinds of conditions. There's lack of really, really getting clear of what we want, looking at the conditions that we're applying to those things. And then we're like frozen and we don't do anything, because if we looked at the conditions, we'd see that the conditions actually prevent us from moving forward. Right? So when we think about aligning in our lives and we think about bringing our actions of, what we're doing on a daily basis together with this heart-centered, very, very abundant way of thinking, we bring all that together. Doesn't mean that there's one size fits all or one answer. It's what are you choosing for yourself? And are all the parts, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you're doing, in alignment with each other? If not, then you know your problem. You know what's going on. But if you are not getting the results that you want, my guess is there some sort of gap issue in the matrix, right? That's sort of stopping it from happening. And it's just a matter of finding and defragmenting that blip in the matrix so that all parts are going in the same direction. That's what we're wanting to create here for ourselves. Yeah. So, okay, what do we got next? So, the assignment would be to finish, what we started. Do your meditation, contemplation. I'll be hosting a money stories conversation on Facebook Live in the Mindful Millionaire community at 2 p.m. Pacific today. That will be kind of fun. I am going to be looking at the book and talking about some of the books, the money stories in the book, and the ones that you get, the more detailed case studies. We'll see what comes up. Please bring your questions if you do attend. I really love that. And then do the chakra meditation journal about what you discover regarding prosperity and the life you are living and the business you're creating. Let's see, what do you truly value in life? Let's see. Lisa, you're the one who catches me when I post it on the wrong time. So, 2 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays. That should most likely happen almost every week unless something prevents me from being there. Yeah, they make my head hurt too, being in Arizona especially. So tomorrow I'm going to bring everything together and what I'll mention tomorrow, but I'll mention it again today, is I really tuned into kind of what we were creating here, what I know, each of you wanted to, I think, get out of our time together. And there may be folks kind of falling in one of two camps. One is you're like, wow, this is really, really powerful. And actually you might fall into three camps. One is, this is awesome. And I got what I needed, and that's awesome too. But one group might be like, hey, this is awesome. I'd love to know what Leisa's up to, and the folks that are coming together to help me create some awesome, an awesome program for the fall. So that the idea behind that is that I'm going to have private conversations to tell you more if you're interested in that. And you guys, I'm not really like some heavy duty salesperson. I literally only want people who are like so crystal clear that this is calling to them, because, we've got room for maybe 30 people the first time we go through it. The cool thing is it's a beta program. And that means when you hang out with me and you do a beta program, it's like half of what I will ultimately charge for it. So that's pretty cool. But the other piece is that maybe you're like, this is cool. I'd really like to dive in and do some coaching. And what you do is you apply for that coaching. If it feels like a good fit for what you're wanting help with, it's $97. There's going to be a series of questions, not just the application questions, but deep dive questions that I am a master at asking. And then you will come into a coaching session. So that's $97. It's not even a value exchange. It's really just like you taking it really seriously, that you're going to come into that wanting to have a big breakthrough, and we're going to help you with that. The other cool news that I'm going to add into this is that Jenny Joy is going to be working with me in the fall. This is all just sort of coming. We were actually just talking earlier today. We've been working together for 4 years, and she runs a very amazing business in house cleaning business in Orlando, Florida, that is been just mind-blowing in what she's created over the past several years, and her understanding of operational excellence and systems and the breakthrough work we're talking about here. And so she also was willing to do breakthrough sessions. So if you feel like, hey, I would love to work with Jenny on some things that are going on in my business, then also just fill out that application, put a note that you'd love to meet with Jenny, and we will bring that into reality. But it's just some really, really, really cool things happening. And thank you, Jenny, for following my, hey, I think there's something really cool here ideas. I'm always very transparent about my co-creation, and that's what's happening here. So that's what's going on there, but we'll talk more about that a little bit more tomorrow. And last but not least, I am going to do a 90-minute workshop next Tuesday. You guys didn't get notice of it unless you saw it in the Facebook group. The idea was I'm going to sum up everything here. I'm not necessarily encouraging you if you've come this week to this, because it's going to be a summary form. But if you know other people who would really benefit from like a 90-minute summation of what we've done this week, feel free to invite them. And the link is in the Facebook group. So that will be really, really fun and informative. And I have no idea how I'm going to take all this work into 90 minutes, but I have accepted the challenge, and I think it'll be really great. So with that, I will stop sharing, and I will just open it up to questions for anyone who has questions today.
It's Dottie here.
Hey, Dottie.
I don't have a question so much as an observation. A couple of days ago, you mentioned this cycle of judgment that I seem stuck in. Thank you for pointing that out, because it helps me to step outside of it and recognize that it's an ad. It's like I learned that you can't just be neutral about something, you have to judge it.